Hi parents, so I tried to upload the video with the students showing how they do the work, but it's not loading. So I'm going to go ahead and work on the same problems that we worked on in class and just going over the different ways to do it. And so our first problem is going to be, oops, 675 divided by 8. And so the first thing I have the students do is write their multiples of 8 to the side. And so it would be 8 times 1. And doing this will help them not only start to memorize their facts because they're getting practice by writing them down and saying them, but it also is like a little cheat sheet to help them along.
You want this, Mommy? No, this yogurt. This, I have it in my hand. You want this? I have it in my hand. You want this? Can I drink it? Thank you.
Yes, this is a little tedious, but it helps in the long run. Okay, and so now that I have all my multiples of 8, I'm going to go ahead and the first strategy we're going to do is area model. And so this is where I draw my square or my rectangle. And I put my 8 on the left and I put my 675 inside the box. And I tell them we multiply here because you multiply this side by this side. We put the addition up here because we are adding our products, and we subtract in the box. So I have them put these signs on so that way they remember what type of equation they are working on. So the first step is to see how many times I can multiply 8 to get close to 675. Well, this little cheat sheet that I have right here is really helpful because I can go over, and we call this basic math. I can go over and look and see what basic math is going to get me close to 675 without going over. Well, I see that 8 times 8 is 64. So that's my basic math. 8 times 8 equals 64. And I know that if 8 times 8 equals 64, then 8 times 80 will equal 640. 8 times 9 is 76. So, sorry, 72. I apologize about that. So I do also tell them that too, to always go back and check to see if there is anything that, if you can go higher. So we saw that this one was 64. Well, can I go higher? So 8 times 9 is 72. So therefore, I can't go higher, because if I do 8 times 90, I get 720. So 8 times 80 it is. So I go ahead and I put my 80 up top, and I'm subtracting 640 from here. Which is 35. So then we draw our line and we bring our 35 up here in this space now. So now I need to know what I can multiply by 8 to get 35. Well, I'm going to go over on my cheat sheet again. And I know 8 times 4 is 42, or 32, and 8 times 5 is 40. So I'm going to go ahead and go with 32. It's because I know 8 times 4 equals 32. I am not going over 35, and then 8 times 5 is 40, which makes me go over. So therefore I know that 8 times 4 is going to be 32. And I subtract here. Now I have a 3 left over. I can't multiply anything that is not going to get me over 3. So that is my remainder. So then I add 80 plus 4. 80 plus 4. And I get 84. And I also have my remainder. So I bring my remainder down. So my answer is 84 remainder 3. And that is how you do area model. Okay, and so the next one we are going to do is we are going to be doing estimation. So with estimation, and our first problem that we're going to do is 493 divided by 7. And again, to the side, I'm going to do all my multiples of 7. Okay, so I have all my multiples of 4. Now we're going to estimate. And so we're going to turn this into a multiplication problem when we're estimating. And so it looks like this. 7 times our unknown equals 493. And with estimation, you want to see what 2 numbers your product is going to fall in. So I have my cheat sheet, and I know that I have, come over here, I have 7 times 7 is 49, right? So 7 times 7 equals 49. If I do 7 times 70, that gives me 490. Well, my product is higher than 490, so I got to keep going. The next one is 7 times 8, which equals 56. So I know that 7 times 80 is 560. So now I know that my number, my unknown, is going to fall between 70 and 80. Okay, so this is where you can choose to now solve. So we're going to start with 493, and we're going to subtract 490. Where did we get our 90 from? Where did we get 490 from? We got it from right here, where we did 7 times 70. So we get 3. So we have 70. And now we have a 3, remainder 3. So I'm not subtracting anything from my 70 because I have nothing that I can multiply by 7 to get me close to 3 without going over. So my answer is simply 70, remainder 3. Okay, so if we were to, let's say this was a 7, right? So let's just assume this was a 7. We would then go, okay, well, 1 times 7 is 7. So I would then put my 1 here. Let me go ahead and, so let's just assume that now we're working at a 7. So let's say our answer is a 7. Well, I know that 1 times 7 is 7. So I would take my 70 plus my 1, and my answer would then be 71. And I would have subtract 7 here and get 0. And I would have no remainder. Okay, and the last one is really simple. So we actually have 2 things. We have repeated subtraction. So our problem would be 804 divided by 4. So now with repeated subtraction, it's just 804 minus 4. And so you would keep doing this until you got to 0, or until you got to a number that you can no longer subtract 4, which then it would be your remainder. And then you would count how many times you subtracted 4. So if you had 5 groups of you subtracting, your answer would be 5, because you are subtracting 4 evenly. But let's say you had 4 groups and you had one where it was like your answer was 3. Then you would have 4 groups, remainder 3. Okay, and then we have the traditional, the way I learned and the way most of you have learned, our long division. And again, even though we say we can do it in our head, sometimes it's always good to write it down. Okay, so my first thing I always tell them is how many times can 8 go into 2? Or how many times can 8 go into 4? Well, we go to our cheat sheet and we see that it can go into 2. Well, I have a 0 here, so that means 80. I can make that into an 80. So if 4 times 2 equals 8, then we know that 4 times 20 equals 80. So again, I put my 20 up here, and I subtract, and I bring down my 4. And I have how many times can 4 go into 4? And that is 1. Because 4 times 1 gives me 4. And I get 0. And so my answer is 201. And so they have the option of picking anything that they would like. And so after they're able to explain it, it becomes easier and they have a preference. And so whichever option they choose, they are more than welcome to use, as long as the problem doesn't specify what they want. So if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me and I can explain it more. Have a good evening.